extent that, you know, we have all gone to, and governments around the world have gone to kind of curb this virus, I think we're going to see significant impact on people's mental health. And how does that manifest? I mean, stating the obvious, we've spoken about fear, anxiety, despair, low mood, which then kind of feeds into people's day-to-day lifestyle. So if you're kind of fearful or anxious or low in mood, you're not going to be sleeping as well. You're going to be more stressed. So then your food choices become worse. We're having to stay at home more, so people are eating probably more convenience, refined foods, coming back to what we were saying, rather than, you know, fresh kind of foods. You know, when people aren't popping out to the supermarket as much. People may be disinterested in exercising. People, you know, to more of an extreme, may just feel hopeless and helpless, and, you know, along with the kind of social isolation, it's just a self-perpetuating cycle. So both mentally and physically going to be suffering. You know, it's about reassessing the situation. So, for example, you know, we can't control what's happened other than focusing on the negatives of the situation. And, you know, there are a lot of negatives. I mean, people are, there's this perception, you know, that, you know, we're under attack, and, you know, people are fearing not just for their health, but now it's livelihood, you know, with kind of the economic impact, which is yet to really fully unfold. But quite clearly, you know, a lot of people around the world, not just here, are going to be worried about kind of finances, their long-term future, with their, not just their job, if they don't have a job, and kind of living here. So there's potentially a lot of life events staring people in the face in the next few months. And I think it's easy to say, but I think rather than focusing on those negative aspects, kind of use it as a positive time to maybe evaluate and reflect how you've kind of set up and prioritize things in your life, how you're going to come out of it stronger. I mean, we've spoken about how both of us are actually quite happy working from home. I mean, for me, I'm able to spend more time with my family. It's made me realize that, you know, certain things in my life which I felt were non-negotiable, kind of, you know, working 12, 14 hours a day, actually, you know, I probably could get away with working less and, you know, taking more work home. So, you know, looking at it that way, trying to maintain a routine in your life. So again, it's very easy to become just very passive with all this time kind of being at home. It's almost like being back at school when you had a long summer holiday. I think it's important to keep kind of structure and kind of set yourself, as I said, routine and tasks to do during the daytime, and including in that is, you know, as I said, spending quality time with your family, you know, making sure we're talking about eating right, so not kind of sacrificing good quality food. And for some people, use it as a time to re-energize and just, you know, some downtime to just detach and rest and rejuvenate. It has to be deliberate, you know, it has to be a conscious, deliberate choice rather than sort of passive. So I think that what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way is just focus on the positives and how you can come out of this strong. So I think, you know, it's important to maintain, as it's never going to be the same, but as close a routine as to what you had before. So I would certainly say, you know, look at waking up at the same time every day. I mean, those who have kids, you know, there's nothing's changed there, but you know, it's very tempting just to lie in bed till 11, 12 if you've got that luxury, but I think that's a slippery slope. So quite kind of regimented with waking up, and, you know, keep your same sort of morning routine, you know, breakfast at the same time. If you're someone who's particularly mindful, whether that be, you know, meditating or using breathing exercises or keeping a gratitude journal, these are all things that if you're not doing already, particularly in these times, is worth doing to kind of really uplift your kind of spirit and mood. I think important to mention, just maintain some sort of exercise as well. I know a lot of the gyms are closed, but again, with the world now being so interconnected within all these apps, there's ways of doing kind kind of home workouts, whether that be inside or, you know, if you have the luxury of having a garden, still ways to exercise. And that's important because that will keep you, not just your physical health in good measure, but also your kind of mental health as well. And maybe set yourself, I mean, because probably people have more time on their hands, maybe set yourself some sort of goals or something that you're going to kind of, a hobby, you know, something that it may be something you're already doing or something that you're going to take up. So set yourself a challenge just so you have some form of purpose in life. I think it's very easy to slip into kind of being distracted because you're in probably less of a controlled environment, but you need to take control of your environment more. You know, I think, of course, it's important to take breaks, but I mean, I would instill that in people to take breaks in their normal working life. So it's very easy just to kind of sit at your desk for 8 hours or 9 hours or whatever it may be. I think it's important every half an hour. I always tell people they have to get up and walk around. Not only does it help kind of physically, but will help with productivity as well. Well, I think probably a lot of that just comes down to people's personalities. I don't think, I wouldn't necessarily say that any of them are a myth. But I see the logic in, again, the whole getting dressed as if you're going to work is more along the lines of maintaining that sort of structure, thought process of, right, I'm going to do this, so I'm going to be more productive at my work, whereas the whole staying in your pajamas all day fits more into that kind of passive role. So I would be more inclined towards the former, but I'm sure there's certain people who can stay in their pajamas all day and still be productive. And so I used the phrase earlier on about how, you know, these things are happening. You know, we can't change them, we can't control them, but I think I'll stress the point again, we can control how we react to them. So it's the same with stress overall. I mean, a stressor is going to be there. We can't remove it all the time. So whether that be a boss you don't like or, you know, particular financial circumstances, that stressor is there. But again, you can improve your stress resilience, and part of improving stress resilience is reframing how you look at that stress. So rather than deliberating about it and looking for blame and looking kind of backwards, think about, again, ways of how you can come out of it more positively. I think, you know, you can't have your head in the sand. You still need to kind of, in a way, almost still be aware and prepare for the worst, so it doesn't kind of spring up on you out of the blue. And part of that may just be having a vague framework for what your kind of plan C, D, E, Z is. There's always ways that people can come out of things better. And as I said, okay, fine. If we take the example of losing your job, there will always be kind of other opportunities. It's what you kind of make of it. You know, during this kind of current time, you know, have you as an individual, you know, been able to, as we've said, evaluate and reflect on how you set up your life and change certain things in your life for the better? If you've been able to bond with your kind of family more. I think, you know, the one interesting thing about this pandemic is it's something that we're all going through, not just on a community level, but as internationally. So I think in a perverse way, and a lot of this is directed from the way the kind of leadership has approached it. If you're kind of living somewhere where there is a strong leadership with strong policies, I think it helps kind of bring your community and country together. So, you know, you're seeing various acts of kind of kindness, and kindness is kind of well documented as being a kind of higher level of achievement and fulfillment, which is why you see kind of a lot of these kind of wealthy people who become philanthropists and do a lot of charity work, because they've achieved everything in life and they've realized that actually they get more joy and benefit from actually, you know, doing more charitable work and helping others. It's a human kind of nature. So these are all positives that we can see coming out of, we're using COVID-19 as an example, but, you know, it's really exemplify what different ways of how you can kind of reframe and look at things. As a general note, I'll just say, kind of in terms of sort of stress resilience, otherwise, a little bit outside the box, but making sure you protect your sleep. A lot of people don't realize, and I see it a lot in my practice, how important sleep is. We scientifically are meant to sleep around about 8 hours a day, and on average, as a society, we're sleeping less than 6.5 hours a day. Probably your best pill for your mental health and stress resilience is making sure that you're getting an optimal sleep. So that's kind of one outside the box thing that I tell my clients. The other thing is, I mentioned very briefly before about just being comfortable with your own time and space, and using practices like mindfulness as an active way of helping your stress resilience and calming you down. And that can be whatever suits you. So you hear of a lot of people now talking about meditation, yoga, Pilates, breathing. You could be going for a brisk walk in the morning. Whatever suits you and your routine, to help kind of calm you out of this kind of fight or flight mode that most people are living. I definitely think there is a gap. And the way I divide, you're touching on kind of aspects of lifestyle, and the way that I divide lifestyle is into kind of your food, your nutrition, your exercise and movement, your stress and your stress resilience, and your rest and sleep. So the four kind of main pillars. I mean, not to sort of dwell all day on it, but I think, there's a lot of focus on nutrition and exercise because there's huge commercial industries behind it. So when people think of lifestyle, they automatically talk about diet and exercise. What people don't, and still yet to realize, I think, in the mainstream, is how important, as important, if not more important, stress and your stress resilience and also your sleep quality are. It's gaining a little bit more traction. So I think on a societal level, 10 years ago, it wouldn't have been cool to say to your friends, I'm not going out tonight, or I'm not, drinking tonight. I want to go to bed early and get my 8 hours. You probably would have been laughed at. It's very fluffy. Whereas I think now, with all kind of the advent of sleep trackers and a bit more sort of publicity about it, people are trying to be more cognizant about these aspects of their lifestyle. It's still, I think, yet to catch on in the mainstream. I mean, if we come back to stress, it doesn't take a rocket science. I mean, most people know that stress isn't good for their health. But I think that's where it ends. I don't think most people realize how impactful it is. I think because it's not spoken about. A lot of people just don't think it's measurable. And I think also, again, a lot of those people don't feel that there's much that they can do about it, when actually there's a lot you can do about it. And when I have clients, coming in, a lot of the root cause to what they're suffering with is issues with stress and sleep disruption. And I have ways of quantifying it and demonstrating it to them, which is a very powerful tool in behavior change. I mean, it's all well and good me sitting there and, say, for example, telling you to get 8 hours of sleep tonight. Yeah, you probably listen to it, but then, when it comes down to it later tonight, you're still going to have the same routine and you'll still probably get the same amount of sleep. Whereas if I set you up with a sleep tracker and demonstrated to you how poor your sleep was, and then quantified it further by looking at certain other blood parameters, and said to you that, a lot of this room is the bottom of this is your sleep, but you're more likely to pay more attention. So I think, in short, to summarize, people are becoming more aware of it, but it's still way, way behind.